Hello everyone, this is the Sports Spiral, and in today's video I am going to review some of the games of Week 11 in college football. I picked a few based on how good the teams were in it and how interesting the matchup was. So let's start on Friday, where 7th ranked Cincinnati beat East Carolina 55-17 to move to 7-0. They are looking like a great team, but because of their schedule strength, I don't think they were going to get selected to be in the college football playoff. 3 touchdowns and 327 yards for Desmond Riddle, though, in that one. Next up is Miami versus Virginia Tech. Miami wins this one just barely, 25-24. They've had a few tight games this season, and they moved to 7-1. Miami is looking like a pretty good team because their only loss came to Clemson. That was a blowout loss, however. Okay, next up it's Indiana beating Michigan State 24-0, shutout, and Michael Penix Jr. threw for 320 yards and 2 touchdowns. So yes, the Hoosiers versus Ohio State will be an interesting matchup next week. Next up is Penn State versus Nebraska, and Penn State, they lose another one, this time 30-23. No wins yet for Penn State. Luke McCaffrey was utilized well by Nebraska. He used both his running and throwing ability to lead them to the win. Okay, Kentucky was just barely able to get the win versus Vanderbilt, 38-35. They moved to 3-4. They allowed more points than I expected. Each quarterback, both Shields and Wilson, threw for 2 touchdowns in this game. North Carolina, in a high-scoring duel, they had a big comeback to go 59-53 and move to 6-2. 6 touchdowns, 550 yards, and an interception for Sam Howell. And Hartman for Wake Forest threw for 4 touchdowns. So a high-scoring duel there, and North Carolina gets the win. So next up is Notre Dame versus Boston College. I knew this one would be a little competitive, and I thought Notre Dame would pull away, and that's exactly what happened. 45-31 Notre Dame. Of course, they didn't do the best on defense, but they are going against a good team offensively. Boston College is a pretty good team. And Ian Book threw for 3 touchdowns and rushed for another. And the Fighting Irish are looking real good. USC just barely able to get the win versus Arizona because of their rally. They've had 2 late game rallies in a row to win the game, and I don't know if this means they're really good and gonna win every game, or because they're not doing like blowouts and that kind of stuff, they're not gonna win every game. Because do they have a match? They did not have a matchup with Oregon, so that probably completely wipes them out from the college football playoff. So, yeah, another late rally for USC. And then we have Northwestern versus Purdue. They get the win 27-20. They are a ranked team. 3 touchdowns and an interception for Ramsey, and for Purdue, O'Connell threw for 263 yards and 2 touchdowns. Then for Oregon, they got the win. They weren't doing so well in the first half, but they were able to get the win 43-29. Tyler Show threw for 4 touchdowns and an interception, but I don't think Oregon's quite good enough this year to get in the college football playoff. Okay, now let's move to the Tulsa SMU game, where Tulsa was able to upset SMU. For Tulsa, Smith threw for 3 touchdowns and an interception, and Tulsa is now ranked following the victory. Florida was able to get a big win over Arkansas, but they did allow 35 points. Their defense had to look pretty sketchy this year. but they scored 63 points. Kyle Trask threw for 356 for 6 touchdowns without Kyle Pitts. So this Florida offense looking very good. If they win out the rest of the games, it will be very interesting to see them go against Alabama. That will be a great matchup. Then Michigan gets blown out by Wisconsin. I thought this one would be much closer, like 1 touchdown, because Wisconsin is a little rusty coming off the break. But March throws for 2 touchdowns. They force Milton into 2 interceptions. Very little offense for Michigan and a lot of offense for Wisconsin. Wisconsin definitely a contender for the college football playoff, but Michigan is getting very desperate, just like Penn State. Then we have Ole Miss for South Carolina. Ole Miss scored 59 points under Matt Corral, 513 yards, 4 touchdowns. And following the loss for South Carolina, South Carolina fired head coach Will Muschamp. Interim coach will be Mike Bobo, their offensive coordinator. So that is going to do it for this week of college football games. I hope you enjoyed the video, and this is the Sports Spiral. Bye.